My name is Celia Coots. My name is Celia Coots. C-E-L-I-A-K-U-T-Z. And I'm a member of the Welcoming Committee. I've been organizing with this group for over a year. And as many of you know, we're anarchists and anti-authoritarians providing logistical support for protests against the Republican National Convention. I'm really glad a lot of you have been able to make it this morning, considering the Smith Street Bridge has been out of commission. I'm not that surprised, to be honest. And I guess none of us should be anymore. So this is a switch. We're speaking to you, the media, and the public. And we've had a pretty strict media policy for a variety of reasons, and I want to talk about a couple of them, just to get us all on the same page. One of the things is the Welcoming Committee works on a consensus-based agreement policy, which means that as a group, we make decisions together. If we don't agree, we don't move forward. And when we do agree, we do move forward. So it's really hard when you call up or you email and ask a question to one of us, because no one person is the Welcoming Committee. No 8 people are the Welcoming Committee. There are 6 of us here, 4 of us have been released from jail, and 4 of us continue to stay in jail. No one of us is the Welcoming Committee. The other reason why we've been a little hesitant to speak to the media, or why this media policy has now changed, is because it's become personal. The Welcoming Committee has become a target from Bob Fletcher, Ramsey County Sheriff, and from a lot of other law enforcement agents all the way up the chain. This is an abuse of power, and when the abuse of power becomes this extreme, silence is not acceptable. When 8 people that I know and have been working with for the last year are being charged with conspiracy and acts of terrorism, silence is not acceptable. There are no terrorists on this stage. There are no terrorists in the Ramsey County Jail. There isn't 1 of us. There isn't 8 of us. We are all the Welcoming Committee, and we stand together today. We're going to take this time for each of us to speak on behalf of ourselves and behalf of our experiences, and we'll be able to take questions later on.
If whoever speaks, you can come closer to the table, that'd be great.
And say your name, please.
Mm-hmm. My name is Betsy Rosh Gilman. That's R-A-A-S-C-H-G-I-L-M-A-N. I'm a lifelong resident of St. Paul, and I am a nonviolence trainer. I've been working extensively in the global justice movement since 1999, and I have been doing training and activism for social change since 1978, so 30 years now. I want to pick up on what Celia said about there are no terrorists up here. There are no terrorists in the Ramsey County Jail. There are terrorists in the Excel Center. There are terrorists in the White House. And that's why we organize these protests. The house raids that we saw in Minneapolis and St. Paul this week are very similar to the house raids that have been carried on by our Marines in Iraq and in Afghanistan and in other places around the world. The government cannot carry on a repressive foreign policy without it coming home to roost in the United States as well, and that's what we're seeing this week. Not only in the repression that's been targeted towards us, but more generally, ongoingly, we have the conditions that are caused by the neoliberal agenda: lack of affordable health care, criminalization of immigration, and gentrification of New Orleans instead of true reconstruction and returning New Orleans to the people who used to live there before the hurricane. So when the people who are directly responsible for these acts of abuses of power come to the Twin Cities, to my hometown of St. Paul, I need to speak up. I owe it to my friends in other countries. I owe it to the people of New Orleans. I owe it to Native Americans. I owe it to everyone. And that's what I've done. I have a responsibility here. Now, my age and my background would have probably led me to organize with the Coalition to March on the RNC and Stop the War, which had a legal, permitted, peaceful march on Monday. And I personally feel very happy that that march happened. I feel proud that 10,000 people marched in the streets of my town, St. Paul, in protest of the Republicans. And I'm very glad that went off well. I made a personal choice not to organize with the Coalition to March on the RNC and Stop the War. Rather, I chose to organize with the Welcoming Committee. And I've been doing that for 18 months. I believe in my capacity and my identity as nonviolence trainer and as pacifist. I believe that the limits of what we talk, the kinds of tactics that we talk about when we think of nonviolent direct action need to expand. We need to escalate in view of the rather serious crisis that our country is facing. We need to improve our ways of non-cooperation. We need to take it further than it has been taken so far, and that's why I organized with the RNC Welcoming Committee. I'm interested in expanding and improving the kind of nonviolent direct action that we do. So, I think that's what I have to say.